There are some sounds you never forget once you hear them. For me, the humming of the Cyber Chase theme song outside my window in the middle of the night is one of them. 15 years have passed, but every time I hear that tune, I still shiver as I remember that night. It was the summer I turned 8. My parents were busy with their work schedules, so they decided to send me to my grandparents' house in Burnett, Texas. I was going to stay there for 3 weeks. My grandparents lived in a small wooden house surrounded by a forest. Living with them was their helper, Aunt May, who assisted with chores around the house. The first few nights at my grandparents' house, I couldn't sleep. Everything was unfamiliar, from the smell of wood to the sound of cicadas buzzing outside. A few nights later, a new sound joined the others, a faint rattling outside my window. I pulled my blanket up, leaving only my eyes exposed, telling myself it was just the wind blowing against the window. After a while, it disappeared, and I drifted off to sleep. I still thought it was a normal sound around here, so I didn't mention it to my grandparents. The next morning, my grandpa took me and our dog for a walk. We walked along the trail that led into the woods behind the house. Our dog suddenly stopped, her fur bristling on her back, and started to growl towards a bush. "What is it, Cora?" Grandpa asked. I looked in the same direction and saw a figure standing still behind a large pine tree. I blinked a few times, thinking I was imagining things, but the figure remained there, just standing still and watching. "Grandpa, there's someone over there." But when we looked again, the figure had vanished. The dog continued to growl. "Could be a lost hunter," Grandpa said, and that made sense to me. That night, after watching Cyber Chase, I went to my room early. After talking to my parents on the phone, I got into bed to play my game console. In the middle of the night, I was woken up by a strange sound. Someone was humming the Cyber Chase theme song outside my window. I pulled the covers over my head, scared, and just lay still. When the song ended, I slowly pulled the blanket down. "Grandpa," I called out to him. "Hey, it's me. Come out here, grandson. I want to show you something cool." Maybe he couldn't sleep and wanted to show me the stars or some wild rabbits coming out to feed at night, things he often told me about. I climbed out of bed, opened the window, and looked outside. A figure stood in the dark, reaching out a hand. "Let's go, kid." I took that hand and followed. We walked a few steps on the dirt road, heading toward the forest. I felt a bit strange because Grandpa wasn't saying anything, nor did he turn to look at me as usual. The moonlight grew brighter, and I looked down at the hand holding mine. This wasn't Grandpa's hand. His hand was more wrinkled. I also smelled a strong scent of tobacco, even though my grandpa didn't smoke. I saw something black sticking out from the back of his waistband. It looked like a gun. I slowed down, terrified. Immediately, I felt a tight grip and was pulled forward. Just then, Grandpa's familiar voice rang out from the direction of the house. "Ethan! Ethan, where are you?" I immediately stopped dead. The man flinched, turning his head towards the house. In that moment of distraction, I quickly yanked my hand free and ran back towards the house. "Grandpa! Grandpa!" I screamed as I ran. Grandpa was standing on the porch, all the outdoor lights shining brightly. I rushed to him and hugged him tight. "Where have you been?" "What's wrong?" There was a man. I thought it was you, but it wasn't," I said. Grandpa held me close, then looked out towards the woods. Everything was just darkness now. Grandma and Aunt May also woke up because of the noise. Grandpa called the police immediately. They arrived and started searching the surrounding area. It didn't take long for them to find a man hiding in a drainage ditch over 300 feet from our house. The police also found a gun tucked into his pants. The man's name was Rick. He was Aunt May's ex-boyfriend. They had broken up a few weeks before I came to stay with my grandparents. Rick had followed Aunt May here and planned to kidnap me to force her to get back together with him. I didn't mean to hurt the boy. I just wanted May to understand that she needed me, Rick told the police. But the axe he had prepared told a different story. My parents drove all night to come pick me up. Although Aunt May had done nothing wrong, my grandparents felt they had to let her go. From then on, my parents rearranged their work schedules to spend more time with me. I still visit my grandparents every summer and during long breaks. I'm grateful that Grandpa woke up to use the bathroom that night and found me not in my room. If it hadn't been for his call, I can't imagine what would have happened in the woods that night with a man carrying an axe, determined to get what he wanted. So, this story I'm about to tell you, I've never forgotten it, even after all these years. I'm Erica, and this scary thing happened to me when I was 10. I was super scared of dogs, not the cute, fluffy ones you see on Instagram, more like pit bulls, labs, goldens, and dogs like that. They were huge and probably weighed like twice as much as me back then. I was just this skinny little girl. Their eyes were so intense it felt like they could see right through you. My fear wasn't something you could just laugh off. It was deep, paralyzing, so terrifying that it made my skin crawl and my body freeze up. Every time I saw a big dog, my breath would catch and my vision would go blurry. I just stood there, my knees shaking, praying it wouldn't come any closer. That night, I was supposed to have dinner at my best friend Kelly's place. I was planning to stay after dinner for a bit, like until 7 or 8. But Kelly and I were having so much fun, just caught up in cartoons and board games, that by the time I left, it was totally dark outside. The temperature had dropped a lot, and a cold wind was blowing through the quiet suburban street, making my skin crawl. Kelly's house was just one street over from mine, and there was a shortcut. It was this narrow alley with tall walls on both sides and wild bushes growing along the way. I'd walked this way 100 times before, but tonight, it just felt different. The darkness felt like it went on forever, swallowing up the warm light from the street lamps. I walked fast, my heart pounding, trying to ignore the fear creeping up in my chest. I should have listened to that feeling, should have turned back, should have taken the long way home, under the familiar yellow light. But I didn't. I just kept walking, sinking deeper into the fear, telling myself I was probably just overthinking it. When I got to the middle of the alley, I heard footsteps behind me, heavy and steady. The guy in front of me was tall, really tall, like a shadow in the dark alley. The weak streetlight only lit up part of his face, but enough for me to see his pale, lifeless skin. He was wearing a black coat, all worn out, covering his body, with just his hands showing. His fingers were long and thin, like dry branches. His face was mostly covered by a hat, but I could still see his mouth. He was smiling, like a creepy grin, almost as if he was enjoying my fear. My stomach dropped, and I remember feeling like my legs were stuck to the ground, with every part of me screaming to run. In front of me was this tall figure, barely lit, getting closer with each step, and the sound was echoing off the walls of the narrow alley. Panic hit me. I tried to scream, but my throat was tight, and no sound would come out. I couldn't move. My whole body was shaking as the guy got closer, and his hand just barely touched my shoulder. I can still remember how cold his fingers felt, and how my skin just prickled with pure fear. It's dangerous to be out here alone at night, little girl. You'll run into pervs, kidnappers, like me. He laughed, loud and creepy. My legs went weak, and I just started crying, my heart hurting so bad. I felt like I was facing a monster, not a person. My whole body was shaking, my limbs felt numb, but I couldn't look away from him. The creep grabbed both my hands and yanked me closer to him. Before I could even react, he leaned in close to my ear, gritted his teeth, and told me if I still wanted to go home, I couldn't make a sound. A 10-year-old girl back then could only bite her lips and nod, trying to be quiet. Then I heard a loud roar, like it came from deep inside. I looked around to see where the sound came from, and there they were, 2 big dogs right at the entrance of the alley. They were feral dogs, fur all messy, ribs showing under their skin. I was facing 2 horrors at once, and it felt like my mind and heart were going to explode from all the pressure. The dogs' eyes were locked on me and the guy, their lips pulled back, showing off sharp, shiny teeth. Did they think their territory was being invaded or something? They moved fast, and before I knew it, they were on the guy. He screamed, this high-pitched, freaked-out scream, and started backing away, trying to shove them off. The dogs wouldn't back off, biting and growling, and their growls just got scarier in the alley. I saw my chance. My body finally moved, and I took off running. I ran faster than I ever had, not stopping until I got to my front door. My hands were shaking so bad, it took me 3 tries to turn the doorknob. The rest was just a blur, the rushed voices of my parents, the police, the ambulance. I remember sitting in the hospital, a blanket around my shoulders, still too stunned to talk. My parents told me the dogs chased the guy off, and they probably saved my life. The creep was badly hurt, with deep bites, some of them in pretty bad spots. He was getting treated and would have to go to court, facing the right sentence once he healed up. According to my parents, they'd been feeding the dogs for the past few months. So those dogs protected me, not because they were feral or dangerous, but because they were grateful, smart, and brave. That night changed everything for me. Even though I was still scared, I couldn't deny that deep down I felt thankful and loved them. My quiet little heroes who showed up just in time to save me.